After 60, the fastest way to make your legs weaker is not age, not bad weather, not even one sore knee. It is staying still. Too much sitting can quietly drain the strength out of your thighs, hips, calves, and ankles until one day standing up feels harder, walking feels shaky, and your confidence starts shrinking with your muscles. And here is the part that should get your attention. The CDC says more than 1 in 4 adults age 65 and older falls each year. And after one fall, the chance of falling again goes up. So if walking already feels difficult, this is not a small issue. This is about whether your legs keep carrying you or slowly stop listening to you. And this is not just opinion. The CDC, the National Institute on Aging, and major rehab centers like Johns Hopkins all point to the same pattern. Lower body weakness is one of the biggest fall risks in older adults. Research on strength training and chair-based exercise also shows something hopeful. Even simple seated or chair-supported movements can help older adults build strength, improve function, and stay independent longer. In other words, your legs may be older, yes, but they are not done learning. And before we go further, if this channel helps you protect your brain, your balance, your blood sugar, and your independence, please subscribe. It really does help this message reach more older adults who need it. And tell me in the comments your age and where you are watching from. I love seeing how many people are choosing not to give up. Now let's talk about the 5 chair exercises that can start waking your legs back up, even if walking is not easy right now. The first one is the seated march. This one looks almost too simple. That is exactly why people underestimate it. But do not let simple fool you. When you lift one knee, then the other, while sitting tall in a sturdy chair, you are asking the front of your hips, your thighs, your lower belly, and your deep posture muscles to work together. That matters because walking is really a repeating pattern of lifting, placing, lifting, placing. If that pattern gets rusty, walking starts to feel like your legs are arguing with each other. Think of the seated march like starting a cold car on a winter morning. You are not racing down the highway yet. You are warming the engine. You are getting blood moving into the muscles. You are reminding the nerves, the joints, and the brain how the rhythm of stepping works. Harvard Health includes seated marching as a useful seated cardio move for older adults. And studies on older adults with limited mobility have found that marching-style chair exercises can help functional movement. The big mistake most people make is this. They think if I cannot walk far, what is the point of practicing the motion while sitting? But that is exactly backwards. When walking is hard, you do not wait for strength to magically come back. You rebuild the pattern in a safer position first. Here is the fix. Sit near the front of a sturdy chair. Keep your chest tall, not stiff. Lift one knee in a smooth, comfortable way, then lower it. Then lift the other. Move slowly at first. If one side feels weaker, that is useful information, not failure. Over time, the motion often becomes smoother. The first goal is not speed. The first goal is clear movement. Picture a man named Walter, 79. The hardest part of his day was not the long walk to the mailbox. It was the first 10 steps after he stood up from the recliner. His legs felt like they belonged to someone else. He started doing seated marches while the coffee brewed in the morning, and again during the evening news. Not for perfection, just to wake his legs up. After a few weeks, he noticed those shaky steps were less dramatic. That is how progress often looks. Not fireworks, just less struggle. Tell me in the comments, what feels harder for you right now? Getting up from a chair or taking the first few steps once you are already up? I have a feeling this will split the room. Number 2 is the seated knee extension. This is the movement where you slowly straighten one leg out in front of you, then bring it back down and repeat on the other side. Why does that matter so much? Because the muscles on the front of your thigh, called the quadriceps, are some of the main muscles that help you stand up, control your knees, and lower yourself safely into a chair
or onto a toilet seat.
If those muscles weaken, your knees often start feeling less trustworthy. Think of your quadriceps like the brakes on a bicycle. People think of muscles as the parts that push you forward. And yes, they do that. But they also help control the landing. When you sit down, step down, or lower your body, your quads are acting like brakes, slowing the drop. Weak brakes make every movement feel jerky, heavy, or unsafe. The surprising part is that many older adults blame the whole problem on bad knees, when sometimes the knee is not the only issue. Often the muscles around the knee have become too quiet. The joint may still have arthritis, yes, but weak support around that joint can make the whole situation feel worse. The common mistake is rushing the movement or throwing the leg up. That turns a strength exercise into a swing, and swinging does not teach control. Control is the whole point. The fix is to sit tall, slowly straighten one leg until it feels comfortably active, pause just briefly, then lower it with control. Then switch sides. If your knee does not go fully straight, that is okay. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are teaching the thigh muscle to turn back on. Imagine you are extending the leg through thick water, not kicking through air. I want you to think of this exercise as sending a clear phone signal from your brain down to the thigh. Wake up. I still need you. That signal matters more than people realize. Muscles do not only shrink from age, they also get forgotten from underuse. A woman I'll call Denise, age 72, told her daughter, "I don't trust my knees anymore." But when she started doing gentle knee extensions from a dining chair, she realized something important. One leg shook more than the other. That shake was not proof she was broken. It was proof the muscle had work to do. A month later, she still had arthritis. But she had more control lowering into chairs, and that gave her back a little confidence. Sometimes confidence returns one controlled inch at a time. Number three is the sit to stand. If I had to pick one movement that real life independence, this would be high on the list. Johns Hopkins highlights the sit to stand as a key exercise for leg strength and body mechanics. Harvard also points to sit to stand as one of the most useful ways to train the muscles you need for daily life. And think about how often you need this exact skill: getting off the toilet, getting out of the car, rising from the couch, standing up from the dinner table. This is not a gym move. This is a life move. The fact that surprises people is this: sometimes the thing that makes you feel old is not walking itself. It is the transfer. That shift from sitting to standing. That is the moment many people feel weakness, hesitation, or pain, or fear. Because standing up is like launching a small rocket. Your hips, thighs, and core all have to fire together at the right moment. If one part is weak, the launch becomes messy. You rock back and forth, you push hard with your arms, you hold your breath, or worse, you avoid standing up unless you absolutely have to, which makes the muscles weaker still. That creates a cruel loop. Weak legs make standing harder. Hard standing makes you move less. Moving less makes the legs weaker. The loop keeps tightening unless you interrupt it. The mistake most people make is using momentum instead of muscle. They throw the head forward, yank with the arms, and hope the body follows. It works until it doesn't. The fix is simpler and safer. Start with a sturdy chair that will not slide. Scoot toward the front. Bring your feet under you. Bring your feet under your chest forward over your toes. Then press through your feet and stand in a smooth, deliberate way. If you need to use your hands at first, there is no shame in using support while you build capacity. Over time, the goal is to need less help, not to prove anything. Here's the analogy I want you to remember. Sit to stands are like rehearsing the emergency exit before you need it. Most of the day, standing up seems ordinary, but when the phone rings, when the doorbell goes, when you need the bathroom quickly at night, your body has to perform without a meeting, a warm-up, or a second opinion. And here is a debate for the comments. Do you think doctors and families warn older adults enough about leg weakness before the first fall happens? Or only after something scary already goes wrong? I know some of you will say yes, I know others will strongly disagree. Let's hear both sides. Number 4 is the seated heel raise and toe lift.
I am putting these together.
I am putting these together
is often the forgotten link in
people talk about hips. People talk about knees.
They talk
almost
about knees.
Nobody talks about
Almost
the ankle
nobody
until
talks
they
about the
shuffle,
ankle until
trip,
they shuffle,
or lose
trip,
confidence on
or
uneven
lose
ground.
confidence on
A
uneven
heel raise
ground.
means
A
lifting
heel
your
raise
heels
means
so your
lifting
weight
your
moves
heels
toward
so
the
your
balls
weight
of your
moves
feet.
toward the balls
A
of your
toe lift
feet.
means
A
lifting
toe
the front
lift
of your
means
feet
lifting the
while
front
the
of your
heels
feet
stay down.
while the heels
Even from a
stay
seated
down.
position,
Even from a
these
seated
motions
position,
matter.
these
Your calves
motions
help
matter.
push blood
Your
back
calves
up
help
the
push
legs
blood
and support
back up the
forward
legs
movement.
and support the
forward movement. The muscles along the front of the lower leg help clear the foot so you do not catch your toes when you step. Think of your ankles as the steering and suspension system of a car. If the engine is strong but the steering is loose, the ride still feels dangerous. That is what weak ankles can do. They make the ground feel less predictable. The surprising fact is that the problem people call clumsiness is often not clumsiness at all. It is weakness, stiffness, or slow reaction in the lower legs.
And when those
small muscles stop contributing, the whole leg has to work harder.
The whole leg has
The common
to work
mistake
harder.
is ignoring
The
the
common
feet
mistake
because
is
they seem
ignoring
too
the
small
feet
to
because
matter.
they seem too
But your
small
foot
to
is the
matter.
first thing that
But your
meets
foot
the
is the
ground.
first thing that
If
meets
that
the
first
ground.
contact is
If that
unstable,
first contact
everything
is
above it has
unstable,
to compensate.
everything above it has to
The fix
compensate.
is to sit tall
The
and
fix
slowly
is to
lift
sit
your
tall
heels,
and slowly
then lower
lift your
them.
heels,
Then lift
then
your
lower
toes,
them.
then
Then
lift
lower
your
them.
toes,
Smoothly.
then lower them.
No jerking.
Smoothly.
No cramping
No
if you
jerking.
can help it.
No cramping
If the
if you
movement
can
is
help it.
tiny at first,
If the movement
that
is
still
tiny at
counts.
first,
Tiny
that still
movement
counts.
done consistently
Tiny movement
can
done
become real
consistently
function.
can become
Imagine
real
watering
function.
a dry plant.
Imagine watering
On day
a dry
one,
plant.
nothing
On
dramatic
day
happens.
one, nothing
The leaves
dramatic
do not
happens.
clap.
The leaves
The stem
do not
does not
clap.
cheer.
The stem does not cheer. But life is returning. That is what these small ankle movements can do. They bring attention, circulation, and effort back to an area many people stopped training years ago. I remember hearing from a viewer named Maria, age 81, who said her feet felt glued to the floor when she first got up in the morning. She began doing heel raises and toe lifts while sitting at the kitchen table before breakfast. She did not suddenly become a hiker, but she felt less stiff when she stood, and her feet began cooperating sooner.
A very
That
real
is a
one.
win.
A
Number
very
5 is
real
the
one.
seated glute
Number
squeeze
5
with
is the
upright
seated
posture.
glute squeeze
Some
with
people will
upright
roll their
posture.
eyes at
Some
this
people
one.
will roll
Really?
their eyes at
Just
this
squeezing
one.
the
Really?
buttocks?
Just
Yes.
squeezing the
Really?
buttocks?
Because
Yes.
your glutes,
Really?
the strong
Because
muscles
your
in your
glutes,
hips,
the
and
strong
backside
muscles in your
are
hips
some of the
and
biggest
backside
stabilizers
are some
in
of the
your whole
biggest
body.
stabilizers
They
in
help
your
you
whole
stand
body.
tall,
They help you
transfer weight,
stand tall,
climb stairs,
transfer
and
weight,
keep the
climb
pelvis steady
stairs,
when you
and
move.
keep the pelvis
When you
steady
sit
when
for
you
long
move.
stretches,
When you sit
those
for long
muscles often
stretches,
go quiet.
those muscles often go quiet.
Harvard physical therapists have even recommended simple glute sets for older adults because the glutes are such important stabilizers. And this matters more than many people realize. When the glutes stop helping, the lower back, knees, and even the hips themselves can end up doing extra work they were never meant to do alone. Think of your glutes like the foundation under a house. You do not admire the foundation
but when it weakens,
every day.
the doors
But
stop
when it
closing
weakens,
right,
the doors
floor
stop
feels
closing
uneven,
right,
the
and
floor
cracks
feels
show
uneven,
up everywhere else.
and cracks show
Weak
up
glutes
everywhere
can do
else.
the same thing
Weak
to the body.
glutes can do the same
Suddenly
thing to the
standing
body.
feels less steady.
Suddenly standing
Walking
feels less
more
steady.
tiring.
Walking
One
feels
hip
more
drops.
tiring.
One
One
knee
hip
caves
drops.
in. The
One
body
knee
starts
caves
making
in.
messy
The body
compensations.
starts making messy
The mistake most
compensations.
people make is
The
chasing
mistake
only
most
the
people
muscles
make
they
is
can
chasing
see,
only
like
the
the
muscles
front of
they
the
can
thigh,
see,
while
like the
forgetting
front
the
of the
muscles
thigh,
that hold the
while
whole
forgetting the
structure
muscles
steady
that
from hold the whole structure steady from behind. The fix is simple. Sit tall in the chair. Gently tighten both buttock muscles together. Hold the squeeze in a comfortable way, then relax. You can also practice sitting tall while doing it, as if a string is gently lifting the crown of your head. That posture matters. A strong hip behind a collapsed trunk is like a good engine in a badly aligned car. You want the whole line working together. This exercise is quiet. No one will clap for it. But quiet exercises are often the ones people actually do consistently.
Is what changes
and
strength.
consistency
Now let
is
me
what
pause
changes
here and tell
strength.
you about Frank.
Now let me
age
pause here and tell you
76.
about Frank.
Frank
age
had stopped
76.
taking walks after a
Frank had
frightening
stopped
near
taking
fall in a
walks
parking
after
lot.
a frightening near
He did not
fall
tell
in a
many
parking
people
lot.
how scared he
He did
really
not
was.
tell many people how
He just
scared
started
he really
avoiding
was.
movement.
He just started avoiding
fewer
movement,
errands,
more sitting,
stiffness.
fewer errands, more stiffness. He told himself he was being careful, but deep down he knew he was shrinking his life. When he finally talked with his doctor, the message was honest. He started with chair work, seated marches, knee extensions, sit to stands with hand support, heel and toe lifts, glute squeezes while sitting tall. The first change was not that he walked farther. The first change was that getting out of his chair stopped feeling like a negotiation. Then he noticed he could stand at the sink a little longer. Then he could walk through the grocery store with fewer rest stops. Was his body 20 years younger? Of course not. Did his legs become perfect? No. But his life got bigger again. And for many older adults, that is the real victory. Improvement, stability, more freedom. Not a miracle, just progress. If you are still with me, type "stronger legs" in the comments. Not because a comment fixes anything, but because saying it out loud matters. It turns hope into intention. Now, there are a few rules that make these exercises work better. First, choose a sturdy chair. No wheels, no wobble. A stable chair is like a good bridge. It lets you cross safely. Second, move with control, not speed. Fast movement can hide weakness. Slow movement reveals it and strengthens it. Third, do not wait for a perfect day. Many older adults think exercise only counts if it is long, sweaty, or impressive. That is simply not true. Small amounts done regularly can wake up sleeping muscles. Research on chair-based exercise has found real benefits in strength and function, especially for older adults who are deconditioned or have mobility limits. Fourth, do not confuse pain with effort. Working muscles may feel challenged. Sharp pain, sudden dizziness, chest pain, or a strong feeling that something is wrong is different. Listen to that. And fifth, remember this. Walking is not the only measure of progress. Sometimes progress shows up first in easier transfers, steadier standing, less stiffness, better posture, or less fear. Do not miss those wins just because they are not dramatic. Let's do a quick recap because memory loves repetition. Number 1 was the seated march. That helps rebuild the rhythm of stepping and wakes up the muscles that help lift the leg. It is your engine warm-up. Number 2 was the seated knee extension. That targets the front of the thigh, the muscle group that helps you straighten the knee and control sitting and standing. Think of it as strengthening your brakes. Number 3 was the sit to stand. This is one of the most practical strength moves for real life because it trains the exact skill you need every single day. It rehearses independence. Number 4 was the seated heel raise and toe lift. These small ankle movements matter more than people think. They help with push-off, foot clearance, circulation, and steadier contact with the ground. Number 5 was the seated glute squeeze with upright posture. Quiet, simple, and powerful. This helps wake up the hip stabilizers that support standing, stepping, and whole body alignment. And if you are wondering, can these really help if walking is already hard? The honest answer is yes. They can help support strength and function. They may help you move better, feel steadier, and stay more independent. But the goal is not magic. The goal is progress. Progress you can build on. One more important thought before we finish. Many people say, I know I am weaker, but maybe that is just normal aging. Some age-related muscle loss is real, yes. The National Institute on Aging talks openly about this. But common does not mean untouchable. Strength can often improve even later in life. The body may respond more slowly than it did at 30. Fine. Slow progress is still progress. And here is one more comment question for you. Which of these 5 feels most doable today? The seated march, knee extension, sit to stand, heel and toe lifts, or glute squeeze? Put the number in the comments. I read them all, and your answer may help someone else decide where to begin. Now for the safety reminder, because trust matters. Talk to your doctor before making major changes, especially if you take medication, have a heart condition, severe joint pain, dizziness, nerve problems, or a diagnosed medical issue. Natural movement does not always mean risk-free, and this video is for educational purposes only. But please hear this part clearly. Needing a chair does not mean you are finished. It may actually be where your comeback begins. A chair is not a sign of defeat. It is a tool, a bridge, a safe place to rebuild what sitting quietly stole from you. So if you believe older adults deserve practical, honest health advice that protects independence, subscribe right now. That helps this channel reach more people before weakness turns into a fall and before fear turns into isolation. And keep watching, because in the next video, I'm going to show you the early balance warning signs many older adults miss until a fall is almost here. If you want stronger legs, you also need to know whether your balance is secretly slipping. That next video could change the way you move through your home starting tonight.